Hi, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Read with Chide Day 13. Now, if you've been following religiously, you know that we did not go live yesterday. Well, yesterday I was unable to come live and read day 13. So yesterday was supposed to be day 13, or was it? Actual fact, we missed last Saturday also. So last Saturday I was unable to come up. This Saturday I was unable to come up. So we're actually 2 days behind. So yesterday wasn't actually supposed to be day 13. It was supposed to be day 14, but we are just on day 13 today. So what are we going to do? Truth is, one or two people have actually reached out to me today to say, oh, there was no read with Chide yesterday. Did I miss something? Or was there really no read with Chide? Actually, there wasn't. So what are we going to do? How are we going to catch up? Well, I have an idea. What we are going to do is for hi Joy. See, Joy is the number one, what will I call it now? Loyalist for to read with Chide, because she was one of the persons who came to me and said, I hope I didn't miss anything. There was no read with Chide yesterday. Yes, there wasn't. But what we are going to do to catch up is on Tuesday, we are going to have. So today we're having episode 13. Tomorrow we'll have episode 14. And then Tuesday morning, we will have episode 15. Tuesday night, 16. Wednesday morning, 17. Wednesday night, 18. And then we'll be all caught up. And then we'll continue Thursday just one time for 19, and like that all the way. And that's how we're going to get back on track. So as much as you can, please join us while we're live. If you cannot join us while we're live, all well and good. You can watch the replay. But what is important is to share, number one. And number two, ensure you drop your comments as you watch and read along, because the whole idea is for you to read along, not just watch. So once again, good evening and welcome to Read with Chide Day 13. As always, I'm excited to read with you, excited to share my thoughts. Today we are reading Genesis 31 and 32. Yes, we've already gone that far. Genesis 31 and 32. And then tomorrow we'll continue on with the other chapters as we go. I can't wait to finish Genesis because the story gets more interesting as you go with these children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Gets more interesting as you go. But let's get right into today's reading. Genesis chapter 31, verse 1. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob had taken away all that was our father's. Remember from Friday's reading, Jacob had told his father in law, I want to go back to my country with my wife and my wives and children. Give me what I deserve for all the years I've served you. And his father-in-law agreed that okay, all the stripes and rings and speckled ones, cattle, you can have. The ones that are pure, keep leave for me. And then of course Jacob did his thing and kept all those peeled stakes where the animals were drinking water and made them mate in front of that so that they would bring steak and all of that. So he got many cattle, a lot more than his father-in-law. Now, verse 1 again of Genesis chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. Another pause. Maybe this is why, in when we're reading about Abraham, all the times that those kings wanted to give Abraham gifts, he would always like, no, don't give me, so that you will not say that you're the one that made Abraham rich or you made Abraham great. This is right here. They said, all that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. Verse 2, and Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto the land of your fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob, oh, sorry. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock. and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, and that it is not towards me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father, and your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages. Then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ring staked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ring straked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams that leaped upon the cattle were ring straked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of the Lord spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up thine eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring straked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban did unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowed a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? And we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon the camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all he had, and passed over the river, and set his face toward the mount. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey. And they overtook him in the mount of Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and taken away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore did thou flee away secretly? Dramatic much, Laban. And steal away from me, and did thou not tell me that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, with tabret, and with harp, and hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters, that thou hast now done foolishly in so doing? It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest need be gone, because thou so longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Because in his mind is your gods are what? How? I'm a child of Isaac. I cannot be serving your gods. I have a God who I serve, the Jehovah himself. Whosoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren, discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the two maidservants' tent, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. But Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tents, but found them not. And he said to her, and she said to her father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up from for thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched but found not the images. I've always wondered, why exactly did Rachel take it? Because number one is either she was just being a spoiled child, stealing from her father, in particular, stealing his gods, or she was trying to be wicked to the man, like, let me do something that will pain him. I will take this thing. Or she really was worshiping her father's gods, which to me is like, really? Really? Rachel, really? And that would boil back to the fact that she was spoiled. Anyway, verse 36. And Jacob was wroth and strode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found out of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge between us both. These 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she goats has not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of this I brought unto thee. I bear the losses of it. My hand did thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day, the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy two daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac has been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labor of my hand, and rebuked thee yesterday. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have born? Now therefore, come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they did it there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, for Jacob called it Galed. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galed. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between me and thee, when we are absent one from another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is between us, between me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast between me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, and that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar to me for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread, and they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning, Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. And Laban departed and returned unto his place. Genesis chapter 32, verse 1. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and camels into two bands, and said, If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which said unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast passed over this Jordan, which thou hast showed unto thy servant. But with thy staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am come between two bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. And thou said, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she goats, and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she asses and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space between drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou? And whither goest thou? And whose are these before thee? Then shalt thou say, They be thy servant Jacob's, and it is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will show my face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun arose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not this of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. May God bless the reading of his word. I remember when I first learned about the story of Jacob, wrestling with an angel all night. And then he insisted, I'll not let you go until you bless me. And the angel blessed him. My little mind that time, I was like, I prayed that God, I wanted an angel to visit me. And in my head, I was going to wrestle with an angel. Oh my goodness. But yes, this is one story that is interesting. I find the story of Jacob very interesting. because there are many sides to the story. The part of Jacob who, they say Jacob the supplanter, and all of that. But there's the aspect of the story where it was his mother that insisted that he should go and take the blessing. There's the part where the mother knows what she saw, how Esau was nonchalant about his birthright, how he, you know, willingly went and married the wrong type of women or woman, you know, and all of that. And she said, you know what, it's Jacob that will get this blessing. And she orchestrated the whole thing, and Jacob got the blessing. And he left his father's house to go to the right place to find a wife, and ended up sitting there for 20 years, working 14 years for two wives, and then 6 years for his freedom to have his flock. And then deciding to go back home and sending, in several parts of this story, I have said how I thought Jacob was a fearful person and maybe had some self-esteem issues. Now, that's how I see it as a human being, right? But here is he rather sending his servants and offerings ahead of him to Esau, so that this guy will not kill me when he sees me, because I know what I did to him is horrible and terrible. You know, peradventure he will have mercy on me and he will not kill me. And he was last at the back out of his fear. But it is in that place of him being alone, he had sent forth all that he had, and the angel met him there, and he had that opportunity to insist that you will not go until you bless me. And another thing that comes to mind is the fact that he was he never did anything he did for the sake of wealth. Like, I want to get the blessing of my brother so that I can be wealthy. And it shows in that he readily sent everything ahead as appeasement to Esau. He sent and he was left empty, just me. And God met him in that place of him being empty. He had sent forth everything: cattle, servants, wives, children, and it was just him. And God met him there in that place of emptiness, coming to the end of himself. And I think that is instructive from tonight's reading. Please let me know in the comments what you know struck your mind as we read, what thoughts came to mind, what you remembered, maybe something you've thought of reading this part of scripture before. Yes. Let me know in the comments. If you are watching this as a replay, please let me know in the comments. Yes. Thank you for joining me this evening on Read with Chide Day 13. Tomorrow we shall have day 14, and on Tuesday we'll have day 15 and 16, Wednesday day 17 and 18, and that way we'll be balanced. Have a lovely night rest. Remember to share this with as many of your friends and loved ones as you can. Um, do well to join us again tomorrow. Love you, fam. Good night.